Hi, and welcome back to my channel, The Diaries of a Quarter-Life Crisis Survivor who's in the process of surviving. I want this channel to show real-life experiences and not just Instagram-worthy content that just makes life look amazing, so quite like a diary, I suppose. So today we're covering uncomfortable situations. So, uncomfortable situations, we all have them. It's probably a way of life for most, but I don't want uncomfortable situations affecting my mood to be the way of my life. I feel it just unnecessarily affects my mood, my enjoyment of the day, or my ability to take in everything around me. My thoughts and brain just get clouded by this situation or this person or thing that makes me feel uncomfortable. I want to be able to enjoy every day, or at least make sure that the potential is there. So I want to eliminate everything that's within me and that within my control that stops me from enjoying the day and that clouds my brain and my enjoyment. Why do I think that working through uncomfortable situations is a good idea? When you work through uncomfortable situations, you change and you naturally become a more aware and stronger version of yourself. You grow and you're more resilient to life's obstacles that it throws at you. So I've been traveling for about 2 months now, and pretty much straight away I realised I felt energyless and just very within myself, worried as soon as I set off on my travels in kind of any kind of situation. However, I just thought that this was kind of the pressure of being away and must enjoy every moment. I was, oh God, if I'm not having a good time, then that means something's wrong and that this experience is all going wrong. About 4 weeks in to my travel, we just settled into a new hotel, and I just sat there and Dan was, oh, should we do this? Should we go to the beach? Should we explore the market? And I was like, I really don't want to do anything. I just want to stay in the hotel room, and it wasn't even a nice hotel. The room was just concrete, that was it. But I just wanted to sit there and wallow, basically, about I don't know what. But then something important happened. I caught myself feeling like this, and immediately I was like, why am I feeling like this? Turn inwards, ask for yourself, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? Why don't I want to do anything? I'm in this beautiful place, plenty of stuff to do. I'm not tired energetically, but I just feel like mentally weighed down. And I realised that being in the new hotel, we'd just come to this new hotel. It was in a city that we'd been staying with the workaway host, so we kind of knew a bit anyway. But because we were in this new hotel, I felt uncomfortable because I didn't know how to get around the city with like public transport and stuff. Didn't really speak the language, and I just didn't know where things were, despite us being there for a while. But we were kind of within the cocoon of this community that we had been staying with the workaway host. And I think realization of being uncomfortable in the situation. So it's a situation, I don't feel well. Why is that? Because I'm feeling uncomfortable right now. Okay. Next step is what's making me feel uncomfortable. It could be a variety of things. In my situation, it was that, I didn't really know my way around the city, and I didn't speak the language properly, or not enough to kind of have a full-blown conversation with someone. I can sometimes get by with the level of my Spanish, but I'm not confident in it at all times. The other common themes I encounter are going to a new gym. Okay, not speaking the language in this gym, they're Spanish speaking. No idea how you explain stretching or that kind of stuff in Spanish. I don't know where in the gym the weight plates are, or the resistance bands are, or the barbells are. I'm unfamiliar with that. Obviously easy enough stuff to find out, but I don't know that. Or maybe it's a certain person that makes you feel uncomfortable, or a certain group of people. And how I work through this is, once I've identified that I feel uncomfortable, I ask myself, what is it about this situation that's making me feel uncomfortable? Just honest conversations with yourself. And also important in this whole process of kind of trying to work through this is to not give yourself shit about feeling uncomfortable or worrying about certain situations, because that's just not going to help. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable and be worried about things. We're human, we have feelings, we have worries about things, that's normal. However, what I'm talking about here, about working through uncomfortable situations and worries, is more about it not affecting your enjoyment of your day, of your life, of your moment, whatever it is. We've realised we're feeling uncomfortable or that we're worrying about something, we've accepted it, and then we've identified what exactly makes us feel uncomfortable or what exactly we're worrying about. Next step of how I work with this is ask yourself, can I do something about this? Which is another way of saying, is it in my control or not? Because if it is within our control, if there is something I can do about it, great, then I can work through it and I can do something about it. So this could be something like, telling myself it's okay, there's no real danger. I can look on Google Maps where the bus station is. I can make sure that I know the correct phrases to ask where the equipment is in the gym, or how to ask where the bus is before I go there. So I kind of look that up on a translation app or something. So there's ways that you can prepare and kind of make yourself feel more comfortable in those situations. And the more I find that the more I do that, the more it makes me feel comfortable in similar situations in the future. However, if there isn't anything I can do about it, i.e. if it's out of my control, there's no point in kind of worrying about it anyway, because no matter how much I worry or feel uncomfortable or feel stressed and worked up about it, I can't change the outcome anyway. So you can think about kind of, okay, if the bus doesn't turn up, I can do this, and if this doesn't happen, then I could do this, that kind of stuff, especially around travel worries. But that only goes so far as well, and there's no point in worrying about the bus is late and stuff. I feel like you work out things as you go through the situations. When I'm in a new place, I feel uncomfortable. Don't usually know where things are, when I arrive into a new place, especially if it's a city, because it's just chaotic, buses everywhere, grid system everywhere, can't walk anywhere, got to figure out the transportation system, etc. There's people everywhere. I feel like people are going to keep, on every corner try to sell me something, or I'm going to get pickpocketed, or they're going to try and rob me and grab my phone out my bag or something like that. So I keep everything really close, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Can't look anybody in the eye as I'm walking down the street. Every single time I'm in a new place, I feel the same way. But then the reality of it is none of that happened, other than the sales stuff maybe, but people sell things, but haven't got pickpocketed, haven't got robbed. I'm not saying that won't happen, and I'm not saying that it's not a good idea to be wary of your surroundings and make sensible decisions and stuff. Obviously be aware of your surroundings and what's going on, but not to the extent that you're kind of, oh god, I just want to get to the hotel, okay, or just want to get through your day and survive. I just don't feel that's a way I want to be living life. So just be aware of surroundings, keep your phone close, keep your bag close, but probably there is no one out to get you. No one here is out to get you. No one here is out to get me. Remind yourself of that when you're next in a similar situation to what I just described. Likelihood is these people are busy going to work, busy going shopping or whatever, and you're just another person on the street. Why would they bother talking to you or trying to rob you and stuff, especially if there's nothing flashy on show. So that was one way of how I kind of am coping, and I'm working through kind of public Mexico Spanish speaking related uncomfortablenesses that I just talked about. And the second thing that could help people work through uncomfortable situations, is something that Dan told me about, is finding a home anchor. So something that makes you feel at home and comfortable, like a homely comfort, I suppose. It might be, a mug of coffee in the morning. It just brings you to your senses, grounds you, and that's what makes you really feel at home. Or, I don't know, it could be a particular pair of trousers that you really like wearing and they just take you back home, or something like that. To be honest, although I think that's a good idea, I haven't really found what my homely comfort is yet. Obviously things like talking to my family help and ground me. But I thought of some things before I filmed this, but I didn't really want to reel it off to make it sound like a good story, so I'm still figuring that out myself. The homely comforts that make me feel at home. Things like reading books about Cornwall, or watching films about places I know, whether it's the UK or Turkey, definitely help. But I have found that those immerse me so much. So reading a book, I recently read a book called The Salt Path, which is about a homeless couple walking the Southwest Coast Path. And I knew so many of the places they were talking about along the coast path, and I could just, close my eyes, see this beach, see that cove. I know the steps down there, I know the different cafes, and it took me back entirely until I closed the book, enough reading for that day, and I was, oh god, I'm in Mexico, so far from this beautiful place that I was just reading about. Oh, okay. And that just is such a it feels like a bucket of cold water has just been poured down my head. So I would also say homely comforts can be very helpful, or so Dan tells me, and I think it's a good idea as well to have little things dotted around in your daily life, like, you know, artifacts or routines and that sort of stuff. But I would be careful about immersive experiences that take you back home or wherever makes you feel comfortable, because I think that for me anyway, when I was so immersed in somewhere I'm so familiar with that isn't Mexico, it made me feel worse about being in Mexico after I'd kind of put that comfort away. So I don't want to be immersed in that same way again, or that's certainly not how I would cope with uncomfortable situations. So we're at the end of the video. Thanks for watching this far. But in summary, I just want to say we all face uncomfortable situations. We're all human. It's a way of life, some might say. But there's definitely benefit in working through them if you want to live a more enjoyable and fulfilling life, or even just an enjoyable and more fulfilling day or moment. You know, things that are instinctual aren't necessarily what we need, or aren't necessarily what's correct in our lives today. So the steps that we covered are recognizing what makes you feel uncomfortable or what you're worrying about, not giving yourself any shit about it, accepting it, asking yourself if it's within your control, is there anything you can do about it, and doing those things if you can. Otherwise, you just accept it, try and digest it, and think about it, or notice the patterns every time you feel uncomfortable. And I think this will result in you becoming a more resilient person, and I've certainly started seeing that in myself, although I've got a lot more to work through, which I'll share more on this journey. But I hope this has been helpful in kind of recognizing those uncomfortable situations, and sets the first steps in working through them. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.